The Prime Minister says, meantime, there will be no changes to Labor's negative gearing policy before the next election. It comes as an internal debate brews over the party's housing policy as some MPs seek to pass the government's Future Fund legislation. Let's go live to political reporter Simon Love. Simon, the Prime Minister has been speaking in the past hour. He was asked about negative gearing. Do we have clarity?
I think he's tried to be as clear as possible on this one, Laura. It was a pretty definitive question to Anthony Albanese at his news conference in the past hour in Melbourne. Would you rule out any changes, or would you change negative gearing towards the next election? Of course, negative gearing was the policy that Labor took to the 2019 election under Bill Shorten and came quite unstuck on, given the coalition won that election. Here was Anthony Albanese this morning.
Will you consider revisiting negative gearing policy ahead of the election?
No.
So you're completely ruling it out?
I think that was a pretty clear answer.
And as to whether the Prime Minister expects a debate on Labor's housing policy at National Conference in Brisbane later this year, given that we're hearing from elements of the socialist left within the party, a figure that is trying to push Labor to hold firm on its housing commitments, given that the bill hasn't gone through the Senate yet and the Greens are obviously holding it up. Here was the Prime Minister on the fact that there could be a debate on housing at the National Conference.
There'll be a policy debate about issues at ALP National Conference. Ho-hum. There's policy debates about everything. That's why we have an ALP National Conference.
National Conference is a little later in the year. It's always, you know, it's pretty willing. We haven't had one in person for quite some time, so I'm quite looking forward to it. Anyway, Simon, Don Farrell, confident the government will resolve trade disputes with China. So what's happening behind closed doors that makes him so confident?
Well, there's a lot of toing and froing between DFAT and the Chinese Foreign Ministry. Obviously, Don Farrell, we went to China last week. You're seeing these pictures now. Don Farrell holding meetings, going to local stores, pointing out the Australian produce. That's all well and good, but he came back to Australia and faced some criticism that there weren't any concrete outcomes from the Chinese government in terms to trying to lift trade sanctions on barley, wine and other products and commodities, if you will. So the Trade Minister here at Parliament House this morning is adamant that there will be some real progress soon.
So I'm quite confident that bit by bit, with some perseverance and persistence, that we will resolve all of our outstanding trade issues with the Chinese government. We've got our cotton back into the Chinese market. We've got our copper. We're well down the track of resolving barley. So one by one, inch by inch, we're resolving these issues.
Confidence is always good, Laura, but no doubt many of those product producers will be keen on an outcome sometime soon.
Simon, thank you.